hats, and every time you change hats, you have to be 100% true to that, position, to that role you take on. And at that point of time, yes, I'm the prime minister, so I will do the FaceTime with you, but I am also a mother, so you need to be completely, accepting of the way I am right now in my PJs, trying to put my toddler to bed, and still be talking and still be doing my, duty as a prime minister.
Yeah.
Which is the most beautiful example I could bring up, because, it's something which was fresh in my mind since last night. And
she brings the qualities of nurturing, connection, transparency, openness, and I am.
Yes, and not just as a mother.
I am a prime minister. I am
exactly not just as a mother. I am this. Yeah, I'm this whole thing, even as a prime minister. So this is who I bring. This is who this is what I bring to the table. If you don't like it, please exit. If you like it and you can support me, please stay and be part of that change. So, beautiful example of that. So how can one access that if somebody doesn't know how to access their feminine energy or get in touch with their feminine self? And it can be a female as well, because we have become very masculine in our energy because of the need of the hour, because we have to go out in that cutthroat world, we have to earn a living. We are also breadwinners. Sometimes we are, a family carer, being a single parent. So in that male-dominated industry, if you want to put it in that sense, I have to be in that same space, the cutthroat space, so I take on that role of the masculine energy then. So how do we then tap into that feminine part of us?
Right. It's very, very simple, actually. First of all, is to bring gratitude for life, for who we are. And for us as women, it starts with learning to honor our bodies and learning to love our bodies. The minute that we reclaim that space for ourselves and stop shaming ourselves and feeling guilty and suppress our emotions. Another way to do that is to honor our emotions, right? And suppressing our emotional, detaching from our emotions, they're not going anywhere. Where you're going, your emotions are going, and it's very possible that with time it could leak in relationship and connections, in mother-daughter or mother-son, or friendships, as passive behavior, and again as sort of shady thing. And it's not that it is shady, it's just unresolved and suppressed emotions and pain that we don't know how to deal with. So it's learning to honor our emotion and dive into, feminine dimension is not about detachment or like being in a feminine space. It's about radical connection. It's actually really getting connected. Yes, feeling the pain. Yes, I am heartbroken. Yes, I am going through grief and it hurts as hell. And yes, I miss my father, or yes, I miss that person. That it's diving really deep and honoring that emotion. The minute that we learn to honor our emotions, learning to honor the vessel that we live in, the bodies that we are, bring gratitude for life, bring gratitude for where we are, for today, for the food, for where I am. The very simple things, it's uncomplicated. It's not go very complicated and complicated. Your wisdom will start rising to the surface. The feminine, you will start feeling it. You will start moving through movement. Dance, for me personally, dance has been one of the quickest way in which I can alter state, in which I can enter into a state of surrender. I love improvising. Again, I don't really choreographies for me. Within dance, it's more masculine because you think about it. It's directed energy. When you're improvising and you just allow to flow with the energy, that's being into the feminine, into the unknown, into the mystery. You're allowing the body, your vessel, to express. And again, we talk about the honoring the emotion. Through dance, you can express all range of emotions, from anger to frustration to sadness. It is beautiful, and it's creating that sacred space for yourself. For example, like creating a ritual that again stems from feminine dimension. For example, I took on recently to brush my skin and to use essential oils and I'm also as a massage therapist, right? Touch is very, very important to me. So of course, diving into that. When I do that, if I do this with the intention to have just a beautiful body, but my mind and my thoughts are somewhere thinking, I don't know what I've done, what I haven't done, I am not present. Creating sacred space means to bring my full attention, my full presence in the now. As you mentioned earlier on, and with your grandmother, that's why I love that example that you gave. Anything can burn, I'm here now. So I'm bringing my attention to how I brush or how I stroke my body, the sensation that the skin has, it feels, the way the texture is. I am fully present here and now. This is sacred. This is a ritual. And if I do that once or twice a week, I allow myself, I put myself into that state where I'm going from a better brainwave in the brain, or the state that's very aware out there, into here, into a trance, into a more internal, into presence. And that in itself will allow the nervous system of the body, the endocrine system, especially if you do the skin brushing, and the lymphatic system to move the energy in the body, move toxicity, help the limbs to release tension.
And I know that, your dance movement, like you said, are not choreographed, because I've watched you in person as well, and I've loved your dance videos as well. And even there, your growth has been tremendous, Alina, because, you have done belly dancing.
Yes.
You're a trained belly dancer.
I love it.
And, you've done shows as well, where you have performed in front of thousands and thousands of, people. And you've traveled, because of that also, you've traveled, different parts of the world as well. When you see, that you connect with yourself and you connect to your feminine energy very nicely through dance or movement. I can't be as graceful as you, but I'm trying. You're much more graceful. But, it's a sacred thing which each person can find whatever they connect with, isn't it? It doesn't have to be that, okay, just because one person connects to it through dance, everybody else has to do it. We can all find something which connects us, okay, or to Mother Nature, or to nature in general. For me, it is the way I connect to Mother Nature and, the divine is through sunsets and through sunrises. I love sunrises and I love watching sunsets. Unfortunately, in this country, in London and UK, we don't get the best of sunsets. And I'm sure, when you're back in your country as well, you see the most gorgeous sunsets with the most beautiful colors, sometimes which you can't even describe. And my awakening was through one of these sunsets at the age of 13, literally waking up and realizing there is more to life than, just having what I have. What is my purpose? What am I supposed to do? Is just having taken birth enough? There must be something else we are supposed to be doing. And again, God bless my grandmother, the wise old lady that she was. I remember going to my father and asking him that question. And you know how parents are when they need to soothe your fears or anxiety. I was just tapped like that. My papa said, so much trouble for such a young head, not needed. So I understand where he was coming from, because he's trying his daughter or his young child to not grow up too fast and become, caught up in that thought process of what am I supposed to do? What is the purpose of my life? Because that is something you're only supposed to, understand when you grow up into an adult. Having not been able to quieten the mind, I went to my grandmother, and then she just told me one very simple thing. She said, as you're growing, you will come to know what your life purpose is. You don't need to trouble your mind from now. just like how you have realized this question came to you, everything else will come to you. What you need to do is trust. When something comes to you, you need to trust that. Don't create a doubt around it. And that was something, you know what, which literally did as if it just was the water being spread on the fire which was burning, and it soothed me, it calmed my anxious mind, and it, you know, literally made me, she just reassured me, basically, a very troubled mind at the age of 13. And we know that, you know, at that age you have some questions and you don't get answers. It can trouble, it can be very, you know, kind of almost to the point of anxiety creating and panic creating, because, you know, something has come up and you don't know the answer to it. What do you do? So, you know, in that aspect, have you ever experienced something like that, where, you know what, something has come about and you're not aware, or you're not able to solve it and you don't know where to turn, but then you realize everything is inside? Have you been in that situation ever?
Yeah. So, of course, of course, my darling. Yeah. So that my childhood for me has been challenging, I would say. Challenging from one aspect. There was a lack of affection and a love. So I grew up without love or affection in my family, in that sense. Not by any fault, you know, I don't want to blame parents for anything. Bless them, they did the best they could at that time, and especially where, you know, growing up in a communist country, because I grew up in Romania, up to the age of 8. I could have, obviously I was a kid, I could not really understood it, you know, like we barely had any electricity when we grew up, or even television in that sense. So most of the information that we had was from around it. So it's funny that you're asking me this. As a kid, I felt like, even, you know, I was thinking of this actually yesterday. I was massaging my dad while I was a kid, because he had an operation. It was the second most dangerous operation in Romania at that time. It was in '89, with his back, with his lower back, with the disc slip, and he had other complications. And I was massaging him, and I was doing this innately, without any knowledge, without anything at all, just from me, whatever this, because I was thinking, wherever this arose from, I was a therapist from small, and I used to think, even with people, I'm going to touch your head here or here, I'm going to massage you here. I never saw this anywhere, because, you know, we didn't have this on TV. I didn't know. Yeah. But I was, from myself, I was thinking, I massage you here, I massage you there, and the pain is gone. And, you know, like the neighbors, she's a kid, oh, yeah, the pain is gone. Yes, I didn't think of it, you know, like I didn't pay much attention to it. But many times, I used to go and run into my garden, because we grew up, we have gardens and we have plants and trees, and there was a cherry tree, and I used to retreat to that cherry tree. You know, there was a lot of scarcity around, you know, fears, etc., just like everywhere. And I used to retreat to this in this cherry tree, and I used to sit there and watch the valleys and the sunsets, as you say, because I love the sunsets. And I used to climb on the cherry tree, sit there and think, daydream about future, daydream of like, what is life, what is beyond that, you know. And I had this sort of questions, a lot of questions that my parents couldn't answer, my neighbors couldn't answer. I had a lot of you know, curiosity in mind, and there wasn't much access to information. So yes, I had it, and that was a space in which I would go and kind of just be daydreaming